Half the thumbnails in your feed this week carry the same number, $833 a month extra paid on top of whatever the VA already sends you. The number itself is real. I will put the page on the screen shortly so you can read the wording yourself instead of taking my word for it. What almost nobody is saying out loud is who those dollars were written for. The answer is a long way from what the thumbnails suggest, and it matters more than the number does. Nothing is coming to your mailbox about any of it, and you can check your own mail on that. There is a plain reason for that, and the VA is not hiding anything from you. The reason opens a far bigger door than the 833 ever will. Here's the shape of what follows, and it runs to three parts. First, what your page actually says, word for word. Second, the 8,000 men it was written for, and why almost none of you are among them. Third, the thing sitting underneath it, paying every month since long before this bill existed. That third part is where your money probably is. Let me start with the paper, because every figure here runs off it. Comments under the last video called this made up, and that is fair enough by me. So we will read the section itself. Your bill carries a number, and that number is HR 6047. So here's the government printing office, and your bill is up on the screen now. Read it for yourself because it comes in two halves. First half, in the case of a veteran eligible for a monthly aid and attendance allowance under subsection R or subsection T. Second half, the Secretary shall pay a supplemental monthly allowance at $833 a month down to the cents. Underneath that sits your start date, and it reads the 1st of December 2026. Notice now what is missing from it. Nowhere on that page does it say every veteran. The words every disabled veteran are absent as well. Two letters carry the whole thing for you, R and T. So who are R and T? Both are levels inside the VA system, you know, as special monthly compensation. Level R is a veteran who needs another person with him for the ordinary business of being alive, which means getting dressed, eating, and washing. On his own, that man draws just under $10,000 a month more than you do. Sitting alongside it is level T for traumatic brain injury of the same severity, and the rate there runs past 11,000. Those two sit at the top of your VA pay scale, and nothing stands above them. The Congressional Budget Office counted the men standing there. About 8,000 of them in the whole country. 8,000 out of more than 5 million drawing compensation. So you clicked on this hoping VA money was about to land in your account. I would rather say it now than at minute 10 of a long video. Somebody else was going to string you along for a quarter of an hour and never quite get round to it. I will be straight about the other half of this VA story too. Those 8,000 men are not the ones being cheated by this. They already draw the highest rate the VA has. The people losing money in this story are further down, and there are hundreds of thousands of them. But stay with me, because the interesting word in that sentence is not the money. The interesting word is allowance, and the full phrase on that page is aid and attendance allowance. That phrase is not one door. Think of a staircase with Congress bolting a new step onto the very top of it. The steps further down have been open for years, and they pay every month. And the VA has never once written to a veteran to say he might be standing next to one. Take a look at the lowest one. This is the VA rate page, the one they publish themselves. Level R may apply if you need daily help from another person for basic needs like dressing, eating, and bathing. Underneath it sits level S for a veteran who cannot leave the house because of his service-connected disabilities. Read that second one again, cannot leave the house. The word bedridden appears nowhere in it, and neither does nursing home. Housebound by a condition the VA agreed was yours years ago. Now think about what that looks like in an ordinary week. A man with bad lungs who has not been past the driveway since the spring. His wife carries the shopping in. 2 mornings a week his daughter drives him to the VA clinic. He would never in 100 years describe himself as needing daily help. Ask him, and the answer is that he manages. That word manages has cost veterans more money than any form ever has. And I understand exactly where it comes from. You spent your working life being the one who handled things. Admitting that your wife now does the buttons on your shirt is a hard thing to say out loud. The VA has never once made it easier on you either. Nobody is asking you to feel sorry for yourself here. The rule takes no interest in how you feel about it. It asks one thing, and that is whether the help is happening. Here's the part that catches good men out. The VA is not asking whether you could manage if you had to. It is asking what actually happens on an ordinary Tuesday. One thing gets done on this channel, and that is turning a government page into something a man can act on before his coffee goes cold. If that suits you, subscribe and stay with me, because these pages move every winter and nobody announces it. Now, the second staircase, and this is the one that reaches furthest. The rungs I just described sit on the compensation side, where a service-connected rating decides everything. There's a second set on the pension side, and it works on a different test altogether. So where is any of this actually written down? On a VA page called Aid and Attendance Benefits and Housebound Allowance. And here it is. 4 conditions are printed there, and the page asks for one of them rather than all 4. At least one. That is the whole bar. One of them is somebody helping you with the ordinary daily business of washing, eating, and getting dressed. It counts when another person does part of that, and it does not have to be all of it. Another is time you spend in bed through illness. The page writes that one as a good part of the day, which is a long way from never getting up. The third covers a care facility entered for physical reasons, and memory is not the only route in. The fourth is an eyesight measurement your own eye doctor can read off your chart in about a minute. 4 different lives on one page, and any one of them opens the same door. The housebound test underneath is shorter still. Most of your time passes at home, and a permanent disability is the reason why. Read those in a plain room without a VA letter in front of you, and a lot of men suddenly recognize their own week. The form carries a number, and the number is 212680. Its title runs longer than the form itself does, and it is an examination covering housebound status or a standing need for regular help. That form goes in online through the post or across the counter at a regional office. 2 things stop men filing it, and neither of them is laziness. The first is the exam. A doctor fills that form in, and veterans picture a review of everything they have ever been granted. That is not what it is. The form asks what you need help with today, and it lands on top of everything already granted. The second is pride, and I have already said my piece on that one. There is no deadline printed on that page. That sounds like good news, and it is the opposite. A deadline would at least make the VA chase you. Nothing in this system chases anybody at all. What it is worth depends on which staircase you are standing on, and the VA prints both sets of figures. On the compensation side, the levels run from L at the bottom up to R at the top. Between those two ends sits a gap of thousands of dollars every month. The pension side works differently, again adding the allowance to the monthly pension rate rather than replacing it. I am not going to put a single figure on your situation because your file is not in front of me. Anybody guessing at it online is doing you no favors. What I can say is that the difference is never small. So back to the letter that never arrives, because now the answer is easy. The VA writes to you about decisions. A bill sitting in a Senate committee is not a decision, and neither is an allowance nobody has asked for. Aid and attendance is claimed, not awarded, quietly in the background. And there is one more piece, and it belongs to the person sitting next to you. That same bill lifts dependency and indemnity compensation, which is what a surviving spouse is paid. And on the compensation side, there is a separate aid and attendance amount for a spouse who needs help herself. Both get missed year after year because the veteran assumes the file is his alone. Picture a couple in their late 70s. He has a VA rating from a war that ended before most of the country was born. Arthritis has taken both her hands, and the stairs beat her on a bad morning. Her health has never once come up in his dealings with the VA, because why would it? Nobody thinks of a wife's arthritis as part of a veteran's claim, except that on the compensation side there is a line for exactly that, and it has been sitting there the whole time. Now, where the 833 actually stands tonight, the House has already passed it. On the 2nd of June, it went to the Senate, was read twice, and went into the Committee on Veterans Affairs. That is the last thing that happened to it. Ever since then, the bill has sat in that room, held up over who pays for it. If it clears, it starts on the 1st of December this year, and it goes to the 8,000 at the top. Should it die in that committee, nothing below it changes at all, because none of those rungs depend on this bill, which is the whole point of tonight. So what does a veteran actually do with this? He reads his own decision letter first, the one in the drawer, and finds the line that says his combined rating. Then comes the honest version of the question, rather than the proud version. The question is not whether he is disabled enough for the VA. It is whether one person helps him get through the day. One reading tonight with the drawer open and the television off, 10 minutes of it, and nobody else on earth can do that part for him. And when he rings, the wording decides it. Start with the phrase aid and attendance. Housebound status is another one of them. Special monthly compensation is the third. Those phrases open different doors, and asking for an increase opens none of them. Right about now, some of you are working out that nobody has ever sat you down and explained any of this properly. That gap is why the book exists. Look for the name Unclaimed Money Playbook for Veterans, and a second guide comes with it, written for your wife instead of for you. 65 pages of plain English, the same as here, with every form named and the order you file them in. Description has the link under this video. Watching this on the big set in the living room, aim your phone camera at the black square showing now, and the page opens right in your hand. Now back to where we were. Everything I have read out tonight comes off government pages. Your bill came from the printing office, and your rates and tests came off va.gov. Rules move, and the paperwork with your name on it can differ from the general case, so those are the pages worth trusting. Every Legion post has a service officer, and so do the DAV and the VFW. Any one of them will file this and will not charge $1 to do it. That is where I will leave it tonight. Think about who helped you through yesterday, then find out what the VA calls that person. Sonny Boone.